I hope you find, as I do, the continuity of our congregational governance with the Cambridge platform of 1648 is just a little bit amazing. We depart radically from the theology of the Calvinist Congregationalists of those times of our Puritan ancestry. This system of church governance survived the Unitarian schism with Congregationalist churches in the early 1800s. It survived the Unitarian merger with the Universalists in 1961. This system of governance has stood the test of time. And today, after the service, we will hold this congregation's annual meeting. I hope you will consider staying for it, whether you are a member or not. I think of the meeting as an important celebration of our heritage of free thought, congregational autonomy, and responsibility. The members of this congregation, and only the members of this congregation, can approve the budget, amend the bylaws, select officers, and ratify the choice of the next minister. You, the members, always have the final say in what happens here. The only exception that I mentioned with Kevin is this hour of worship on Sunday morning. I do have the final say on that. Everything else is ultimately up to you. And even if you don't like something I'm doing up here, you can decide to throw me out. So you have the power. You have the power. One of the things that will happen today, as we talked about a little bit, is the congregation's annual meeting is the selection of the slate of members who will serve on the search committee for the new minister. These 6 people will be discerning who should be the next settled minister from the list of those who apply for the position. This is an intricate process that goes back to the time of the Cambridge platform, but today gets revised each year by the Unitarian Universalist Association. Let me describe that process so you'll know how you can exercise your membership to participate. The most important step in the process has actually already happened: the selection of the committee. The transition team, the board, the nominating committee surveyed all the members of the congregation to find out who they thought would be a good candidate for that committee. The goal was to find people who were trusted by the membership to effectively represent the congregational's interests in this search process. The nominating committee pored over the data and developed a prioritized list, and they went to work contacting those candidates to see if they would be willing to serve and step up to this important role. They adjusted the asking priority to seek a balanced slate of people to present for election today. The search process begins in earnest in the fall. Members will have 2 opportunities for input. 2 opportunities for input in the search process. The first will be to fill out a questionnaire, a congregational survey that will collect basic information about our membership, your beliefs, things you don't believe, what you are looking for in a minister, and the priorities that you have for the different ministerial roles. The second opportunity will be to participate in what's called cottage meetings in someone's home, possibly here, maybe some other locations, to discuss together what kind of ministerial qualities would be best for this congregation. The responses from the surveys, the meetings will be compiled and interpreted for the creation of our congregational record. And that's going to be looked at by all these ministers who are in search. A descriptive packet of materials will be assembled and then placed online for those prospective candidates to read. It, along with the freshly updated website, will be a way for the candidates to get to know Fourth Universalist and decide if they want to apply. This packet will need to be completed before December 1st, the month the candidates will be submitting their requests to be considered here. Ministers who have been cleared for search by the UUA's Ministerial Fellowship Committee can submit their name to up to 15 congregations who have full-time ministerial positions available. Those names will be released to all congregations in search at the beginning of January. That's when things really start to happen, is beginning of January. Each minister will have generated a packet of materials too, which the search committee can then read, along with their abbreviated search process materials called the ministerial record sheet. This is a form that all of them will fill out so that it makes them a little easier to compare. The search committee will consider all the candidates, assemble a list to do phone interviews with, and winnow that list down to 3 or 4 interview people who they will call pre-candidates. These ministers are the ones who will come here for a weekend, and you won't know who they are. They're going to come secretly here to check us out, walk around, get to see our building, go to the minister's palatial mansion that I live in, and then there'll be interviews. They might do a Sunday service in a neutral pulpit. Again, you won't know about that unless you're really sneaky. And then there'll be more interviews here. So their family might come, so there'll be a chance for them to get to know if this is the right place for them. Although it's hard to believe, no one would think that New York City would be not the right place for them, but it's possible. So they're gonna check us out. And that's all gonna happen in February and March. Once several of those pre-candidates have been considered, it will come then down to the wire. At the end of March, the search committee will make the important decision. They will decide who their first, second, and maybe even third choice of who they want to be the next settled minister, and they'll send that to the UUA. And at the same time, the ministers will be doing that, selecting who they think are their first and second choices. And this is when the matchmaking happens. If it's a first and a first, it's very easy. They come together and then they can make a decision. But sometimes it's like first and second or second and first. And so it can be very, very tricky to decide if it's going to work. This is a situation that creates a lot of stress for the congregations, for the search committee, and for the ministers waiting to know who's going to match with who. The matches are announced on April 1st, and the ministers and the congregations will meet with each other and make sure that they can agree with each other's terms and conditions. If that happens successfully, the match can be formally announced. But it doesn't end there. Now that pre-candidate becomes the congregation's candidate. The candidating week will be arranged in our congregation, usually in the month of May. The minister and their family will come for a week. At the beginning of the week, the minister will offer a Sunday service. During the week, The minister will meet with as many members as possible, attend meetings in people's homes and here. The goal will be to answer people's questions and become familiar with the candidate, and vice versa. At the end of the week, the minister will preach one more sermon and then leave the sanctuary, probably go up to the minister's office and wait. The congregation will immediately have a congregational meeting to discuss the decision to call the minister, entertain any debate or questions, and then vote. The candidate will want 90 to 95% positive vote to accept the call. This is the final test of the work of the search committee. It is also the final test of your communication, of your wants and needs with that search committee who has responded in their selection of that individual. I want you to understand this long, drawn-out process because your involvement in it is critical to its success. The search committee will not be looking at each candidate and then deciding if they like them or not. They will be deciding if you will like them or not. Congregations sometimes reject the search committee's choice. We don't want that to happen. That can be a devastating experience for the candidate, for the congregation, for everybody. Their success depends on understanding what you, the congregation, want in a minister very, very well. There's a deeper level than your personal likes and dislikes about ministers. The mission of this congregation, you hear me say at the beginning of every service in the opening words, conveys who we think we are and what we are wanting to do in the world. I hope we will be testing what comes up in the survey in our cottage meetings against that mission statement. We may find that those words may not match. They might not. Fourth Universalist current identity, and we may need to revise our mission to better match who we really are and who we aspire to be. A good search process can be a time of transformation for the congregation as it does some deep introspection about its identity and aspirations. It can be a time of growth and development for each individual too. As a congregation and as individuals, that process of growth and development could be very attractive to a prospective minister as well. All this to say, I anticipate a transformational year starting in September. You can be part of it, a full participant in this process, and you may find that your participation may catalyze your personal growth and development too. May this coming year be a transformational one for the benefit of all of us.